Hey y'all. It's March the 31st, 2017, and I just got done watching a video on YouTube. It's from a very good friend of mine, and you might want to check her out, Celeste, Whoknows, and she was going on a rant. Alright, it was an epic rant. Alright, it's very well laid out, very thought-provoking. Alright, this rant, I appreciate this rant, and at the same time, I feel as though I have the responsibility to respond to the rant. Alright. Celeste Whoknows, a very smart girl. Alright, very smart, sharp as a whip. Celeste Whoknows, she just made a video regarding, black folks and white folks, and you know who I'm talking about when I say that. She made a video regarding animosity and how people act towards other races and stuff. And of course, she brought up all the keynotes throughout our recent history. All right, she brought up the slavery that a lot of people, black people, so-called black people, were slaves. All right, and that is true. That's 100% true. A lot of black people, so-called black people, were slaves. That's true. But at the same time, you got a lot of people on the other side who are, they're debating y'all out there, because here's the thing, that is true what you said. At the same time, there were all sort of different races of people, if you were to categorize them that way, who also were slaves during that exact time in which you're speaking of, that slavery time that everybody thinks about. And we're talked about in our public schools. Right? There actually were some slave owners here in America who were black, and they owned black people, and they probably even owned white people and stuff, who knows. Alright, but the thing is, just so happened that slavery's always been an institution. I'm not advocating for it. You'll never hear me advocate for it. It has always been an institution throughout human history, and all sort of groups have enslaved all sort of other groups. The thing is, this is clearly stated about in the Bible, right? That this has been happening. There's always been slaves. There's always been slaves, but the thing is, it comes to our recent history, there has always been slaves, but now you got certain countries that step out of that box and they say, you know what, we don't even want slavery. We're going to abolish that. In fact, we're going to make all sort of constitutional amendments that, they kind of abolishes all that slavery and stuff. That's in America. That's a lot of Western countries who done that. They say, you know what, we're gonna ball out of control, basically. Alright, but anyways, don't really get that much credit for it. People still think about the animosity, especially if you say certain words. The animosity between what you would call white folks and what you would call black folks. And I can't speak for all around the country, but I can tell you in Texas, it hardly matters. It really hardly matters. And the thing is, Celeste Whoknows, they went ahead and she brought up segregation. She was talking about slavery and how that was all messed up. And true, as a rule of thumb, it was all messed up for what you would call black people. It sure was. I'm not denying that. I really had no part in it. I wasn't born or anything like that. I still haven't seen white privilege. And you know what? If someone had white privilege to give me, I would take it. But here's the thing. When it comes to segregation, that's actually a very touchy issue. It's very touchy. And I've talked about this before. Because I understand that you and I, and pretty much everyone we know, we've all been taught of the evils and the disgusting nature of segregation. Right? I know that you've been taught this. I have been taught this too. I've had the same thoughts regarding segregation as you've had growing up. I promise you. But at the same time, it took me a long time to realize that actually, when you think about it, segregation is good. It's really a good thing. In fact, it is a formula for success, and a lot of people have detailed this, such as Malcolm X. Segregation is absolutely a formula for success. It ensures that people who look a lot like you, or act a lot like you, or live your lifestyle, that they actually flourish, that no money ever leaves their community, and people just start saving money, and they start winning and winning and winning and winning till they get bored of winning. Alright? All Donald Trump style. See, segregation could allow for this. It really could, but however, what I want to bring up, and this is key, is that although cultures ever since history began, have been segregating. They absolutely have been segregating themselves. It's always been a practice, always will be a practice on humankind. However, shoot, it doesn't matter what we think about it or what our opinion is towards it, it's still going to continue itself. And what I want to interject in by saying is that it's still going to continue itself regardless, knowing that it's actually a very retarded way that people are segregating themselves. They've always been segregating themselves in extremely retarded ways and suicidal ways. Like if you consider the 50s and the 60s with the what you would call white people and what you would call the black people, that kind of segregation, it was retarded. It really was. It was destructive and it didn't go nowhere. It really didn't go nowhere. But at the same time, don't be fooled. Segregation is key. It's actually crucial. It is a formula to success. It really is. And I know it sounds hateful, and you're looking at me like, oh, shoot, he's hateful. I'm not. In fact, none of these are my ideas. All sort of people of all sort of different races have already had this idea in which segregation is a beautiful thing. However, they got it wrong. They did it in a retarded fashion. What I mean is that it's just that. I mean, you got skin color and you segregate over skin color. People have been segregating for all sort of different reasons in the past. Some better reasons than others, but skin color, that's how they chose to segregate themselves. It was deeply, deeply retarded. All right. But at the same time, these people had the sense enough to know that you should segregate yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great idea. All right. So what I want to explain just for everybody out there, and I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of argumentative thoughts about this and everything, but shoot, man, segregation is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to do. It was done wrong the whole time, right? Hypothetically, we're going to talk ideals. It's not going to happen. I mean, we're not going to probably see it happen for a long time, but segregation, if we're talking on ideals, is a wonderful thing. However, you got to do it correctly. And what I'm here to say is that segregation can only be done correctly when it comes to who you are worshiping. And this has always been the case. You'll notice that if you were to read the Bible and stuff, a lot of these stories, it talks about tribes who just were worshiping the wrong God. And a lot of times these tribes went down. They went down in flames, worshiping the wrong God, right? Just so happened to happen. And then you have clans that are worshiping the right God, right? And those clans happen to flourish and get more land and stuff like that, as stated throughout the Bible and stuff. Segregation is and always will be only successful if done by the aspects of what God you're worshiping, right? And at the same time, you live in a place like America. Not only can you live in a community that community only worships the God that you're worshiping. Not only can you do that, but you can interact with other communities around you in a network of communities, and trade and have all sort of commerce and financial gains and stuff. You can do that. It would be perfect. And everybody would see all sort of prosperity. We wouldn't be out here doing these stupid, silly jobs that we don't like to do if we were to segregate. This is hypothetical. I don't see it as happening, but what I'm here to say is, hypothetically speaking, segregation will allow us to reach for the stars and stuff, you guys. It's not done the right way. It's never been done the right way. It has to be done according to God, what God you're worshiping. And like I said, that's not an attack on people. There's atheist people out there, and all sort of Muslim people and Jewish people and all sort of people who I get along with just fine, man. I have no problem with you. We could do all sort of trade together, all sort of commerce and work and stuff, and I can get along just fine with anybody. I think you'll find. But the thing is, at the same time, segregation would be beautiful. Imagine you go back home and shoot, it's only people worshiping your God. Justice happens around the clock. Your community is servicing its own community. It's standing alone in pride. You're all very enthusiastic about the God that you're worshiping and stuff. Can you imagine a world like that where segregation absolutely did happen? In fact, war didn't even have to happen and stuff. People would be just enjoying, their lot on this earth, doing what they want to do, having a good old time. if everybody was segregated. And that's the only way to do it, because people's cultures clash a little bit too much, unfortunately. Right? People get misunderstandings from people who do not worship the same God as them. That hasn't always been the case. So segregation in that regard would be a beautiful thing. And I know a lot of people aren't going to hear my words today. Right? They're not going to hear them. It's a little bit harsh, a little bit abrasive. I understand. They're going to hear them one day. Alright, because segregation is a beautiful thing and stuff, man. I think you'll understand later. Anyways, I'll holler at you. It's March the 31st, 2017.